Hello, beautifuls. Welcome to this beautiful, wonderful Monday. In the Lion's Gate, energies moving, so many exciting, wonderful things blending and meandering upon our beautiful planet. Ah, it is the 11th. I thought it was the 10th. So, how are we all doing through these Lion Gates? Are you enjoying the energy? Are you having fun? Are you feeling blessed and enjoying your freedom and love in the sun? I haven't been on social media. I have very next to none. I've done just the one or two meditations that I know I want to do, and it has been really quite interesting. But hopefully, I will do a catch up on that tomorrow. Um, Josh, my beautiful, beautiful one, how are you? I see Kali is alive and well and dancing. I think it's Shiva's dancing partner for the moment. It's so fabulous. I have no idea what's happening in the world out there. My real world is full of trees and talking to the trees and them talking to me and playing with the water and the sunshine and I'm just taking these few days as an absolute immersion and celebration because I can. And I'm so blessed to be able to. Just photographing the sun, enjoying Millie, Millie, Millie. Hello, my beautiful one. Thank you. So today we're going to do a deep dive into salts. Beautiful, sacred, holy salts. Oh, please do. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I missed. I'm just even looking at the time. I'm like a little bit. I kind of woke up this morning. I had a very late night with PG. He was creating amazing stuff. So please, please be here. Thank you, Millie. Please be here on Wednesday. I don't know if he's going to be able to control himself. He's done this like mind-blowing stuff. And it's so I was just writing, just streaming stuff. So that's not what I'm talking. Was writing about water and primordial creations and just channeling the most incredible stuff. And I didn't want to stop because I was just like flowing. It's like wow, huge big codes. And then I don't know why I thought to do that today. I don't know. But if you remember a little while ago, we were talking about the Himalayan pink salt. So somewhere that was I don't know, been like, I don't know where I've been. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. I'm not sure where I am. It's okay. I'm in bliss. That's like the most important thing right now. And very focused in a crazy way. Very grounded, really up there, but like beautifully grounded. But I will talk about that the Lions Gate tomorrow when it doesn't officially end. This will never end, guys. This has been the biggest Lions Gate for many a long time. And not that I watch the planets so much, but there's so much happening with the planets at the moment. So I just thought because salt is like so important and we take it so for granted. And I was really just obviously with the water and thinking of the primordial soup and waters and things. My brain keeps going into that, or my spirit, or whatever it is. So I thought we would do an interesting little dive into salt because it's just so important and it's starting to blow my mind. It's like I've got to this point of it and then it's like just all exploded again. So I hope it's going to do the same for you, and I hope that after this you will start asking a lot of questions. I'm sure I will have to have a follow up for this. So get your notes because yes, there are tests. There is a test at the end. And it's just so amazing. It's been staring at us all in plain sight and nobody's picked it up yet. So you're getting it here. So it's just something else that's blowing my mind. As I said to you, when I close my eyes, I see these exploding like balls. It's a little calmer today. So I do miss like creating some artwork, but maybe I will play with it tonight. I'm really missing it actually. And for some reason I can't. I've done some like interesting bits of like factual art for us today, but obviously just the salient. Now everything's going to be thinking about salt and how we use it in our language. The salient ones are the ones that I can be able to share. So I do hope that Trista jumps in. Oh, thank you, Millie. I'm going to go and get a candle tomorrow for my desk. Thank you. Let me light. I'm going to get. Thank you for reminding. Let me get a my insects. My insects. I tidied up. This every moment is sacred. Every absolute breathtaking moment is sacred. Yeah, so I wanted to go and get a very special candle for mine, and I don't have a lighter. I cleaned up my desk. I cleaned up all sorts of things. I've been on a little bit of a cleaning frenzy as well, which has been quite wonderful, just making space. I really feel that this whole energy, but we'll go into that tomorrow. I'm sure we're all feeling that it's like such a big, big, big new birth. Oh, beautiful, Josh. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You can start at the end. You'll jump in when it's meant to be. There's lots of interesting stuff here, and it's just like a little tip. So cleaning our beautiful temples, keeping they are so awakening. So many different people are rising again. It's just so wonderful. I'll try not to mix my energies. So bless the space, keep it holy. Sprinkle sacred energies and sacred waters around here. Thank you so much. So be it, so be it, and so be it. So we all keep going on and on. And yes, water is yet again taken an absolute another completely deep dive into water. But I'm not sure when we'll talk about that. So when I see this beautiful picture of the mother, a lot of the pictures that I wanted to create or even download just didn't get saved. So we have to just work with what we've got here. But she reminds me, this particular picture reminds me a lot of salt crystals. And I have salt crystals, but I don't have nothings. But they look like crystals. Like little square ones that they actually came from Southwest Africa. But obviously, if you clean them in water, they're going to just dissolve. So I would take a look at them. They're like kind of completely different salt, but they're really, really pretty. So maybe you can find salt crystals. I think there was a thing that we used to do with our kids that you could like grow them on a piece of string in salt water. These are just nice things to blend. So we're going to take you down a whole journey, and then we're going to like blow your brain apart, hopefully. So this particular picture reminds me so much of that salt crystal, and in a way it just reminds me of the Himalayan pink salt, some things about it, and it is the picture of the Divine Mother who some of us are seeing quite a lot in our dreams or seeing her playing around in the sky. So let's let the happy ceremony begin. I didn't lose you. Are we all still there? Because I'm not sure when I lose you or not. So, no, leave me alone. Okay. So just take, so I did quite a deep dive because I wanted to just like, remember I said that it actually lowered your blood pressure. So I did a little bit of a deep dive into the Himalayan salt because it's also very sweet for me because it's called, they call it here Alexander salts. So I just wanted to know about the fascinating story that's woven through ancient geology, trade history, and traditional healing practices. So it is. And we have a salt grotto and a salt cave here in my village where they sell the pink salt, and there's actually a room that's just done with salt, so you can just go and relax and listen to music and generate. So Himalayan pink salts is a typical rock salt, which is halite, and it's mined from the Salt Range Mountains in Pakistan, primarily from the Kura salt mines, one of the oldest and largest salt mines in the world. It contains iron, a lot of iron. That's why it's got the pink color to it. Historical name in Germany is Alexander Salz. The name Alexander Salt is thought to be inspired by Alexander the Great, who during his campaign in India around 326 BC discovered these salt. Remember, he wasn't Greek, he's Mycenaean, because we will always come back to Alexander somewhere along the line. He discovered these salted deposits when his army's horses began licking the rocks in the region. This was recorded by his historians and eventually became part of the salt's folklore in Europe. The salt beds were formed around 250 million years ago. As ancient oceans evaporated, leaving behind crystallized sea salt buried under volcanic activity, sealing it away from pollution and contaminants. So this stuff's old, and it is sea salt, even though it's found in the mountains. Okay. The Himalayan pink salt is renowned for its natural purity and its trace mineral content, giving it a pink to reddish hue. It contains sodium chloride and lots of trace minerals, iron, which gives it the pink color, magnesium, potassium, calcium, and even small amounts of zinc and selenium. I know this could be boring, but this is the most actually salient, important part in a way. One part about salt are actually the trace minerals, which make it so special, different salts. We're going to go, it's such a bouquet of salt. Its healing and health benefits. I remember when this pink salt hit the market, I mean, even in South Africa, there were lamps. Everybody was pink salt. It was big chunks of the stuff, and it was just so abundant and really very reasonable, really cheap. While scientific opinions vary, Himalayan pink salt is widely celebrated in natural health and very much in Ayurvedic traditions for its healing properties. When consumed moderately, it balances the electrolytes and hydration. The trace minerals help regulate fluid balance. It supports adrenal health, particularly during stress. A pinch in water can be energizing, and it may lower blood pressure. Unlike highly refined table salts, which is stripped of minerals and may include anti-caking agencies like aluminium, and we have fluoride here in our salt. Himalayan salt is said to be more easily assimilated by the body. The theory is that its lower sodium content per pinch, due to larger crystals and mineral balances, allow it to work in harmony with the body, potentially lowering the blood pressure in some individuals. Not all, but in some. It's unusual because usually salt is huge. Salt is so flipping big. It's like ancient. So, I'm giving you these clues here. It's got memory of 250 million years ago, and we're not seeing it. No, okay. We're messing it up, but here we go. However, moderation is still key. The benefits, obviously, of salt lamps and the energy. If you don't have one and you like them, I really strongly, highly suggest that you get a salt lamp, because they also look like rose quartz lamps. So it's that soft glow of the womb. They are absolutely beautiful in the room. I'm thinking I must get myself one here. I can't wait for my stuff that might never come from South Africa. I told you they sent the rubbish, but that's fine. Are made from large chunks of this crystal, hollowed to fit a bulb or a candle inside. They purify the air, they bring stability, and they exude negative ions. When gently warmed, some claim that they release negative ions that neutralize electromagnetic radiation from devices, improve mood, and reduce stress. Very, very big on the salt. It's the huge mood enhancer and a big stress reliever. They enhance sleep quality, especially because it's that pink color. So we go to the moon. So if you have problems with sleep or just want better sleep or just feel that you want to do that, especially if you've got kids love it. I always found it was a nice present to give to moms that had just had babies, because then they can keep that light on and they just think they're in the room all the time. Traditional healing uses, especially in Ayurvedic and traditional Eastern medicine, and is used for detox baths to relax muscles and draw out toxins. Nasal rinses, the Indians are very big, the Hindus, where they pour water through the nose. I don't like doing it. But a lot of people really do it, and especially if you've got sinus problems, and you do that with the saline again, a weak salt infusion. Digestifier, use small amounts with lemon water before meals to stimulate digestion. This is the pink salt, and they use it a lot when they are fasting, just that pink salt. And energy clearing, salt bowls placed in corners of the room are believed to absorb negative energy. So it's more than just a seasoning, it's actually a crystal. So you're eating a crystal. And the more I delve into that, it's actually one of the first crystals that were actually on the planet, which is the salt crystal. From the earth's deep memory, from the water, primordial soup, bearing the vibrational essence of ancient oceans and volcanic fire. Whether used as a lamp, a bath soak, or a kitchen salt, it invites us to return to elemental balance, inner purification, and harmony. So I'm going to repeat a little bit again, because that was what I wrote then. But now we will dive deeper into something else. So are we all here? Neti pots, 2 salt lamps, but one drips. That's so interesting. I didn't know that they did that. Yes, Millie, this is blowing me apart. Sorry, thanks that it's not boring. Yeah, there must be ones, but I'll take you out because I brought it in America. Because it's important. So, as I said, this is for me. It was just so fascinating, and I've only just touched the little tip of the iceberg. What are neti pots? It's so weird. I never went down this. I sold them to clients, but I never really went down the salt lamp thing. I was like this purist, I liked my lost my teeth. Oh, now I've got my teeth. Floating but grounded. I liked my rose quartz very much. Doesn't she? She looks like a rose quartz lamp to me. She's just. I'm sure she'll look very different next week. Wow, this is so trippy. Okay, so we're going to go down the road now of a whole pile of different salts. Let's see what I have. Dun, 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 dun. Um, hmm, from table to its place, as I say, it's very. So, just going to quickly go over the Himalayan pink salt again, which is really the ancient crystal of life. They say, I remember when, I suppose it's anything from India, it just floods the market. Those caves are absolutely huge. Um, and the origins, over 250 million years ago, when an ancient ocean evaporated and became trapped beneath the shifting earth. They were mined from the Kura salt mines in Pakistan, in the Punjab region. They're the most amazing crystal mines in Pakistan as well. One of the largest and oldest salt mines in the world. In Germany and parts of Europe, historically called Alexander Salt, linked to the story of Alexander the Great's horses licking the salt during their campaigns. Um, it's very healthy, very mineral rich, contains 80 plus trace minerals, iron for its pink hue, magnesium, potassium, calcium, and more. Energetically pure, locked away for millions of years, untouched by modern pollution. I often wonder what the water. No, some people say it's horrible. They've tasted it. That are in crystals, and how old is that water? It's also like 250, 300 million years old. You get little droplets of crystals in water. Elements of preservation and purification in every ancient culture. Salt has everybody has been used to cleanse, protect, and bless, and to taste. Yum, 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 yum. And we are salty. Often you just lick your hands and you're salty. You know, there's salt is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's flipping everywhere. And nobody's seeing it. um, okay, so you can ingest it, support hydration, lower blood pressure, baths draws out toxin, calms, big for muscles and the nervous system. Salt lamps, sacred spaces, and cleansing. Okay, let's move into. So, salt is the crystal memory of the oceans, the earth's way of holding the sea in her heart. So, there are types of salt. Let me just see, I do have a little picture of the types of salt here somewhere. I think we'll go through them. Yeah. So I'm just because I know that there's some salts, but there are actually more. You can take a screenshot of this. I would suggest you do so you remember it because it's interesting. There's all sorts of salt. And when I was growing up, there wasn't all this fancy salt, okay? But my mother was just always very clear that we had sea salt. She didn't do this other thing, and it was we had the salt and the logo was see how it runs because salt knowingly like absorbs water and it clumps up and it gets like very like mucky and messy. Um, but that's because they have removed and stripped it and put like fillers into it and things that stop it from anti-caking. So don't buy table salt is like the worst thing that you can actually do. Maybe if you're using it for potpourri because it's cheap. But uh, sea salt is just a little bit marginally more um, more expensive than that table salt, what they call table salt. Okay, so types of salt from table to temple. In the Himalayan pink salt, the source is ancient ocean beds from Pakistan. The color is pink to deep rose. The uses are cooking, finishing dishes, baths, salt lamps, energetic cleansing. The vibe is gentle, mineral rich, grounding, and very, very ancient. Then we have sea salt, which comes from the sea. So it's evaporated seawater, usually Mediterranean, Celtic, or Hawaiian. The color is white to gray, depending on the minerals. It's not dirty, it's just the minerals. Uses: everyday cooking, skin scrubs, spiritual purification, baths. The vibe is fresh and flowing and carries living ocean energy. Then you have that Celtic grey salt from Selkirk, which is the Maldon salt. It's from the coastal France and harvested by hand. Light grey from clay-lined salt ponds. Uses: gourmet cooking, mineral boost. Earth meets ocean. It's grounding and very nurturing. The fleur de sel, which is delicate flower, crystal formed on the surface of salt ponds in France. The color is white to pale ivory salt, usually used for finishing dishes, sprinkling on chocolate or caramels. Then just think, and as we go through this, how a pinch of salt, it's something that's like always, it's like such a little bit. But without that little bit, life is quite like bland. But it brings out chocolate, it brings out caramels. This is like juice coffee. I always put salt and mustard in my coffee. That would bring out the taste. Yeah. Salt on strawberries and pepper also brings out just, but such a little hint that you don't even know what it is, but it's there. Okay. The fleur de sel, which is a delicate, it's ivory and it's been sprinkled on chocolates. Okay, candles. It's very feminine, subtle, high vibration, culinary magic. I'm sure you have shops. I know here we have. I mean, you can go to some of our biggest supermarkets, and you can go a little crazy when you just see salt from everywhere. You don't even have to go into a health shop. If you do, then you also see other salts. But you can just go into a supermarket and they have got rows and rows and rows of different salts. So that's what kind of got me thinking. And it's like, I can be a bit rude. It's like, I just have sea salt, guys. But, ignorance is not always bliss. Then we have kosher salt, which is sea or rock salt, which is processed without additives. It's white and flaky. It's culinary and we use it for bathing. It's straightforward, no nonsense ritual in Jewish koshering. They use salt a lot for cleansing. Black lava salt. Have you seen black salt? Sea salt blended with activated charcoal, which comes from Hawaii and from Cyprus. It's black. It's also finishing salt. You can use it for detox baths, but if you buy it yourself, it's going to be very expensive. I think if you're in Cyprus or in Hawaii, it's much cheaper. It's very protective, purifying, and works with shadow work and energy. And it's just a little pinch. Something that also I was thinking is that maybe if you think back of people in your lives that, hey, Lex, hello, that almost, and Victor, greetings, that almost everybody, yeah, I'm going to get blessing your salt before, and that will get to that with the Edgar Casey, because that's what kind of been, that's because I love the Edgar Casey work, and I always dive into Edgar Casey, so I'll get to him at the end, but that's kind of I'm going to talk about salt, but it's not just salt, and he doesn't, but we'll get to Edgar Casey just now. So if you know a little bit about the Edgar Casey work, I was so blessed when I lived in LA, and when I was first there, I was the local library is just huge, and there was this whole floor dedicated, and it's a big floor, just dedicated to metaphysical books. In those days, I could read quickly, so I could take out 25 books a week, and I just gobbled up. Knew a little bit about Edgar Casey from my mom. But I would just gobble, 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 whatever I could read. Yeah, gobble, 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 gobble. So I read a lot. And I was doing a lot of salt work actually in those days. So that was really interesting for me. But I was just thinking, obviously it gets me thinking again, that everybody, and I was going to say almost everybody, but everybody I know, I can't think of any friend or home that I've been into that doesn't have a special salt pot, or it was a wooden box, or I knew a pottery friend who made like very expensive, and she used black clay, and she made these salt scoops for your salt thing. You have the special scoop that you put your salt on your food. But everybody has this interesting salt pot. They might not know why, but everybody's got something. They don't just have it in the packet or that plastic bottle that it comes in. They've almost always got it in a special jar, never metal because it will rust. And then with a special salt spoon, usually a wooden spoon, or this Kim Sachs, you can look her up. She does the most amazing work, pottery work. But she found black clay. She said she was going through such deep shadow work at that time, and it was so little clay, but she made these incredible like salt scoops. It wasn't a bed; it was just a scoop. Oh. And they sold really quickly. Everybody wanted these black clay salt scoops. Yeah. Yeah, blessing your salt before using it and how it can heal all over. So that's why part of why we're doing this big dive into salt, because and then we'll get to that, and that just like blows everything out again. So we'll go and start all over again, and then hopefully my job is done, because I can't teach you much, but I can hopefully teach you to think. And that's the most important thing in life: learn to think. Even though we're going to throw our brain to the crocodile, but thinking is not a bad thing. Okay. So black lava salt. You might be able to get that. I would like some. I wouldn't mind some black lava salt. It would be very nice for shadow work. And that would just be. I mean, I wouldn't bath in it. I would put a little tip on my tongue. Yeah. So this is lots of stuff. So sit back. Then we have the red Hawaiian salt from the Aliyah. Yeah. The sources is red salt mixed with volcanic red clay. So it naturally comes like that. And the color is brick red. The Hawaiians use it in Hawaiian cooking and ceremonial uses. And they all do taste different. Huh? I mean, I haven't tasted that many salts, but the ones that I have tasted do taste different. Now, salt can often leave that bitter taste. But okay, the red Hawaiian salt, its vibe is vitality, fire, and grounding. Persian blue salt, how pretty would that be? From the ancient salt mines in Iran. Pale blue flecks from potassium chloride. This is so pretty. Blue salt. It's obviously a finishing salt and a very rare luxury. Cooling celestial clarity of thought. Kala namak, which is black Indian salt. That one I knew about for quite a long time ago. Came from South Asia, volcanic salt, heated with herbs and charcoal. Dark brown to black, turns pink when ground. Oh no, isn't that just amazing? Indian cooking adds sulfur, egg flavor. Transformational, digestive, and linked very much to Ayurvedic work. And then we have table salt, mined rock salt. You don't want this. You want any salt except heavy table salt. So when you're just buying salt, that sounds like my mother in my head here. That's the one that they're selling you. And here I definitely don't buy it. I have to read very carefully, because we don't have fluoride in our water, but they put fluoride in the salt. So what I have, so I did ask about that as well. I have Alp salt from the Alps. It's not sea salt, but it is sea salt because it's from old sea deposits. but it's mined in the Alps, and I just kind of like that crystal clarity of the Swiss Alps for my salt. But table salt it's mined rock salt, which is heavily refined. It's white, it's bleached, and they add stuff to it so that it doesn't cake. So you've got all those fillers and additives so that it's like, free running, blah, 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 blah. So it's functional, but energetically it's empty. It's like microwaved food. So stripped of minerals, often contains your anti-caking agents. And here fluoride. So just scrape that one off your table. And yeah, you can buy cheap sea salt, your everyday sea salt. Obviously, these specialist salts you can have fun with. But we'll get to it. So do buy cheap sea salt, and koshering salt is sea salt, as far as I know. Okay, and then Celtic sea salt. It's originally harvested from the coastal tidal pools of Brittany, France, using traditional wooden rakes that preserve the salt's natural minerals. The selgris meaning grey salt in French, referring to its light grey hue from the clay-lined salt beds. Moisture content naturally damp, it retains a bit of ocean water, which helps it hold its mineral integrity. It's mild, briny complex, not as sharp as refined table salt. It's rich in magnesium, calcium, potassium, and trace minerals. That's what's really important about the salts, the different salts, I'm telling you again, are the trace elements, that it has all those wonderful magnesium. They add things to the salt here. And the uses are sprinkled on vegetables, salads, or meats just before serving, and the crystal pop with an ocean flavor. Its mineral content makes it ideal for curing and fermenting, and it can be dissolved in warm water for mineral baths or salt soaks to replenish electrolytes. If you can afford it, I should imagine that it's very expensive and you want 2 big handfuls in your bath. But if you can, off you go. Please do it. If you can find any springs, mineral springs, please head over to them. These are going to be just absolutely amazing, and there's lots in the States and even more, I think, in Canada. And they're very salty. They smell a lot like sulfur, but they're often very salty as well. It carries the dual grounding of earth and the flowing memory of water. It's known for drawing out toxins and restoring vitality. In folk magic, Celtic salt is considered protective, placed at thresholds to keep away unwanted energies. Vibration, balancing, grounding, nurturing, and it connects you to Mother Ocean's womb energy. All sea salt is going to, but we haven't activated it, which is what we're going to get into just now, which is what Casey, and it just makes so much sense. Yeah. So just remember that salt holds especially sea salt, holds the tides of the moon and the clay of the earth. As I taste it, I welcome balance. As I touch it, I welcome protection. As I carry it, I walk with the memory of the ocean within me. And we're all awakening to this old ocean memory. Yes. Then we have the Maldon sea salt, which is one of the most famous for culinary, and it's been crafted for a long time, and it comes from England, hailing all the way from Maldon in Essex in England. This salt is harvested from the Blackwater estuary and historically a salt-making region dating back to Roman times. Since 1882, the Osborne, got nothing to do with Kelly and that family, have preserved the art of hand harvesting the salt in small batches, passing the craft through 4 generations. It has a very unique crystal structure. That would be a good, for me, a salt of choice. Yeah? For these reasons, recognizable by its pyramid-shaped flakes, Meldon salt doesn't pack together, and each flake delivers a delicate burst of flavor. The crystals are crafted through a mystical dance of slow warmth and skilled timing, unveiling the water's essence and memory. Taste, texture, and usage. Chefs around the world adore this Meldon for its clean, light, and less bitter salt flavor. Best uses as a finishing salt, a few flakes sprinkled at the end bring texture, elegance, and gentle saltiness. So when you're boiling your pasta and all those other things, please just use sea salt, cheap sea salt. Huh? Unless you can afford these expensive salts and put them in huge teaspoons. Just no table salt. On plate, okay, Meldon salt is a finishing salt, more flavorful, requires less volume, and adds texture. The pyramid flakes, it's not just for the palate, it's sacred in form and function. It resonates with cosmic architecture and the sacred geometry that underlies creation with this beautiful pyramid structure. It's harvested by hand over generations, so it's not done with machinery. So it's really hands-on. It's got some loving care, the human touch to it. So it has ancestral energy and devotion. It's a finishing salt ritual, and it invites worship of the moment, a flourish of gratitude on the doorstep of the palate. So it's already been energized and loved, so you can do more to it. And then, just because I know that it comes, there was the Kalahari Desert. We could go on forever, right? But the Kalahari salt, which is Earth Sun memory. So it's harvested from ancient underground brown lakes and salt deposits in the Kalahari Desert. It's really the first people there. So it's the ancient, the first people are the Sun, the Bushmen, the Sun people from the Kalahari Desert in southern Africa. Remnants of the vast Magadigadigadi Lake that dried up thousands of years ago. These deposits, so it's not sea salt, okay, it's lake salt, it's freshwater salt. These deposits are replenished from ancient Dwicker rock formations aged between 250 to 300 million years ago. But it's got other memory, yeah? But it doesn't have sea memory, so you'll get other memory. We can really go tripping on salt, guys. Hello, you agree, huh? The salt is extracted by pumping brine to the surface and then sun-dried under the hot African sun, preserving its purity and vibrations. It's a very coarse, crystalline salt with a subtle, delicate flavor, softer on the palate than many rock salts. It contains essential minerals such as calcium. You see, if others didn't, it has calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sulfate, making it robust in both taste and mineral integrity. The sulfate would give it that little sulfury, stinky taste. It's ideal for springing life into dishes like salads, fish, poultry, breads, or grilled meats, particularly suited for South African braai mentality, that's their grills. It carries the vibration of the desert, sun, and geological memory. This salt is an alchemical bridge between Earth's ancient past and our present nourishment. But to your body's got to be reasonably clean to get the energy of these salts. Okay, you can't be eating like junk food every day and expect to get the benefits of these salts. You have to have a reasonably clean body. Reasonably, yeah, within reason. You still ice cream's good, or your one Coca-Cola every now and again is still okay. But if you're guzzling like gallons of Coca-Cola on a daily basis, you're going to get diabetes. Born from a landscape of endurance, Kalahari salt carries the archetype of survival and ancestral resilience. The oryx and desert dance with survival without a footprint of contamination. Very pure stuff, but very raw, very primal. It symbolizes the quiet persistence of purity, creation from scarcity, and the deep response of memory in crystalline form. I am doing quite a deep dive into the African people right now, and but one day we'll get there. This salt carries the breath of ancient sun and the bones of earth. May each grain call me to remember strength, serenity, and source. May I taste the desert's whisper in every breath. Okay. So I thought, okay, now we've got all this stuff going on over there. Oh, we should get back to that just now because it goes to different things. There's other salts. There we go. The salt map of the Americas, because I know that Edgar Cayce talks about various salt. Absolutely. And it's a spice of, as we go on to this, it's like well, it blows my mind. It's just that little pinch which makes it taste. And it's big for me as well. It's one of my favorite stories, fairy stories. The fairy story is also revolved around this one. So there's lots of it for me too. Unpacking it. And the minerals, yeah. So there's beautiful, beautiful. Grace, hello. We're doing salt, the salt of the earth, the magic salt, the memory of salt. And yes, you could make with that's beautiful, Millie. I'm glad you said that because it's something that I used to do that a lot. I used to make my own salt, flavoring salt. So you can use lemon peel. I used to make lavender salt, and you just crush them together. You steep them together for a while. I was very into potpourri, which is also you layer all your things with salt. But I always use sea salt because it's just marginally different, more expensive than other salt. But we're still very lucky. It's very cheap when one considers it once upon a time. I love you too, Grace. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, we need the minerals, and I'm going to go. I'll do that in a bit. It was just too much for that. About the mineral deposits and how important that is. Just saltless, yeah. That's so interesting, hey? Miss the salt, that's little touch of life. That little sprinkle of the God element. Yeah, watermelon with salt, yes. And chocolate with salt. I like chocolate with salt. And chocolate with chili. Chocolate and chili is nice. But almost everything, as soon as you just put that teeny little pinch of salt, it just brings out that flavor. Just that we've really abused our palate, which we'll talk about just now. We have just abused salt, which is like so holy. And it's like, as we go along this and we dip into Edgar Cayce, it's like, oh my God, what have I done? Let me talk about salt differently. Yeah. And if you think, this is why when we get stressed, why junk food works so well is because it's over salted and over spiced. And that's why you crave it, because we're stressed. So you can just eat peanuts or salted nuts, or even just like, I'm quite happy to have a very diluted drink with salt. We used to do a lot like with a Maggie cube. I just called it a bouillon cube that we just do. That was one of my mom's favorite things to give us, with a in hot water, the squeeze of lemon. Or you could have miso, if you like miso. Miso is very nice. But I like salty things. So, I mean, I would just very often just do like a sprinkle of Maggie on my hand. And that was enough for me. I carried on. Yeah, because my mother would get very faint. She's got all this blood pressure thing, and she needed like a little bit of salt. And it's just fascinating. Salt is just, the more you think about it, salt is just so huge in our life. It actually, like, it controls absolutely flipping well, close to everything. It contains, but we're going to this, it's like blow your mind. You know, these are things that we know, and then when you start to weave them together, it's like, oh no, what can I do? And it's here right in plain sight, and nobody's talking about it. Melon and salt, yeah. To salt pasta. You're not supposed to salt pasta. Did you know that? Not really. The reason that they put salt in the water is actually to make the water hotter, because then it raises the temperature. I do think it gets a better taste with the pasta. And interestingly, I have a friend. Oh, thank you, Lakeside. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, this is kind of partly where I'm going to be doing deep dives into interesting things. Laugh, you know. Let's just take the simple thing, like, you know, a spoonful of sugar or a pinch of salt, and like blow our minds and come out of it on the other end with a completely different aspect of salt, you know, like chop would carry water. Before enlightenment, chop would carry water. After enlightenment, water is carried and wood is chopped. It's the same stuff, but it's completely different. You know, now we're doing it, we're going back to where we should be. And as we just keep adding all these things, we don't think about them anymore. But I have a friend who always cooks carrots with her pasta. And it's just, because it's like she's got the boiling water, and it's just a thing that she does. So she chops up her carrots and she puts them into the boiling water with the pasta. So it's just such a nice way to eat carrots. I love eating her pasta, even though I don't eat much pasta. But yeah. And add the salt once the water. Where's Millie? Where's Grace? Grace will tell us, because it makes the water hotter. So that's what I read somewhere. Yes, we'll get into all of that Lakeside, Laura. That one, it's beauty, is 1,000,001. But those simple ones, it's exactly the one that you're saying. I was talking with my Nigerian friend. Well, I wasn't talking, I was letting her do the talking. And she was telling me that and it's interesting, we were going to quite a few of them here. There's some lovely ones. You can pick what you like, simple ones. I like energetically conservative spirituality, you know, stuff, the quick hacks, the things that work quickly. We don't really have too much time, or we've got the time. It's just that there's so much that we need to still catch up with that we have forgotten for quite a long time. Okay. And yeah, so what she does is, and I love that, she said, if you're feeling whatever that is, bad things happening, or you've got spirits in your house, all sorts of things, you know, they're very much like that. She said, you just stand in the middle of your house, and you can sprinkle the salt over you, or you can just sprinkle it around your feet, and you leave it there overnight. You go to bed, but you sprinkle it around your feet and you leave it on the ground. I like that one very much. And then you clean it up in the morning. And please, that salt is like poop, you know, you throw it around, you throw it down the toilet. Yeah, so that was, and yeah, that was yeah. And obviously around your bed, you can put bowls of salt under your bed. Um, a lot of these, that I cover in. Lexi, thanks for joining us. Oh, thank you. But thanks for popping in. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's very salty. And what is it? If you're grumpy, that's a new um, term that the young kids use. They say, oh, they're all salty. And I was like, it ties into this as well. You're all salty because you're eating shitty salt. You've lost your saltiness, guys. Beautiful Laura, catch this later. It's a pleasure. So you can just watch the end bits or jump in wherever you want to. It was, and I missed. I woke up. I was so excited. I woke up at 4:45, and I thought, oh, it's like truth wave time, but it's 3:45 that I need to wake up, and I didn't set my alarm for the last few days, so I will pop in and see you. Oh, I do. I love salt. I have eat quite a lot of salt. Hey, Josh. Victor. Okay, that's also interesting. So you do that also. She cooks it with her pasta while it's cooking. So it's clever. I mean, it's like economical. It's like it's good economical spirituality. And it's nice, Millie. It's just try it. It's great. And it gives the pasta just that slightly different taste. It's just yummy. I liked it. Yeah, and they're obviously on the windows, around the windows. Yes. But just good old sea salt. If you can do the other salts and you have access to a lot of it, because I have seen that they're a little costly. They're not as cheap. I mean, I think Himalayan pink salt is the next is the cheapest of the sort of luxury. The designer salts, well, they're not really designer salts, they're actually essential salts. But if we know a little bit about them, then we will be even more excited about them. So here are just a little few because, and Edgar Cayce does not actually mention, I'm sure he does somewhere, so I will dig around for you guys. He does the most amazing healing things with salt, but he doesn't mention where they're from, but he is very specific that they must use salt from this area, or these people must use salt from that area, and others must use it from another area. If in doubt, you can just use a good salt or even just a sea salt and use that energy. Obviously, you're not going to get quite the full impact of it. But maybe you also open up your own things to having a look at. Because, I mean, there's Salt Lake City, and that's why it's called Salt Lake City. Okay. So we have the sacred salts of the Americas. You have the Bolivian rose, the Andes mountain salt. The origin is ancient sea deposits high up in the Andes in Bolivia, where you need cocaine, where they grow cocaine. And you need to eat cocaine leaves so that you can actually breathe up there. They have the train, it's called the Coca-Cola Express, and they give you coca leaves on the train as you go up the mountain, because otherwise you don't have to do it, but most people do, because otherwise you can't, the air is way too thin. So chewing cocaine leaves opens up your salt, your lungs. Okay. It's pale pink, also to rose due to the iron content. It carries both mountain stillness and ocean memory. I mean, I love this. I picked up seashells in the Alps. So I'm like, really, I love the Swiss Alps. I'm like very partial to them. It balances emotions, strengthens your root chakra, and grounding for travelers and seekers. Then we have the Utah real salt. It's an ancient seabed in central Utah, protected underground. It's pink, red, and white speckles from trace minerals. Its energy is very stable, grounding, home vibration. Feels like a mother's embrace. It's great for restoring mineral balance and calming nervous energy. You could have your whole apothecary. You could have like different salts in your medicine cabinet. A pinch of this, a pinch of that. You're nervous, or you can some black salt. You're having psychic attacks. Bloops. Ooh. The Himalayan cousin in the Americas is the Peruvian pink salt. So it's not just from there. So it's from Peru. It's called a maras. It's spring-fed terraces in the sacred valley of Maras, Peru, and used since Inca times. It's a soft peach pink. It's connected to high-altitude sun and ancient Indian ceremony. Excellent for spiritual clarity, solar plexus empowerment, and ceremonial cooking. Salt from the sun is very powerful. We don't have sea salt from the sun here. It's harvested from the Pacific sea salt, which is from the west coast of America, USA. It's harvested from clean Pacific waters from California, Oregon, and Washington. It's white and fine to flaky. It carries the expansive forward-moving currents of the Pacific. It stimulates creativity, movement, and fresh beginnings. I could like that. California is awesome. It's a very creative place. Lots of music. Be interesting. A creative phase. Then we have the Alaskan sea salt, which is glacial-fed Pacific waters around Alaska. It's bright white with a crystalline sparkle. Glacial purity, deep water wisdom, and whale song frequencies. How pretty is that? It clears heavy emotional energy and reconnects to innocence. Then there's the Mayan sea salt. It's from the Yucatan Peninsula, traditionally harvested by Mayan families. White with occasionally pale gray. Holds sun-tempered tropical joy and ancient coastal rituals. Heart chakra opening, releasing fear, inviting celebration. The Hawaiian black lava salt. Pacific sea salt, blended with activated charcoal from volcanic activity. It's jet black. It works with shadow work and deep purification. Removes energetic toxins, clears psychic clutter. Sea salt is a Hawaiian red alaia. We'll have to ask Scotty how we say that. Sea salt mixed with volcanic red clay, rich in iron oxide. It's brick red, and its connection to earth's fire, grounding vitality. It strengthens blood and life force, enhances courage. Maybe Scotty could send you some. I'm sure it's cheaper to buy. You can usually buy it at the local supermarket. It's not like got some crazy import luxury item on it. Then there's the Baja California sea salt. How do you say, is it Baja? Baja, Baja, don't know. I went there. Solar evaporated waters like gold. Evaporation ponds in the Baja California, Mexico. Its color is white. Desert ocean meeting point. Balance of opposites. Helps harmonize inner polarities. And we have the Chilean Patagonia sea salt, and its southernmost Pacific waters near the Antarctic current. White, sometimes with blue-gray flecks. Its wild, untamed nature, energy of the edge of the world. Yes. Haha. Its healing vibe is breakthrough, vision quests, releasing stagnation. And that, I'm sure, is just the teeny, teeny, teeny tip of the different salts that you get in America. So just like can buy yourself some salt with a little extra care. Okay, then my big question, because this Europe was definitely not plentiful when it came to salt. It was highly prized. Hello. Interesting. A new wooden spoon and cocoa tea for altitude. Yep. Never. We had this thing, and it also ties up somewhere very, yeah. We weren't like but some things we were very like superstitious and about dropping the salt. And we had to always like pick it up and throw it over our shoulder. Salt had very deep references. It comes from this, you know, the medieval, but it's more. We lost the memory of it, but so we're just going through what we kind of know, which is all very exciting anyway. And then we get to, oh my God, that's what it's actually about. So we'll just do all this like work and then we'll put it together. A wooden spoon. Yep. Yeah. Interesting. It's salt, and it was never, it's like the Chinese have it with their rice pot, that you must never ever let your rice run out. And we had it, and I've just adopted that with rice as well. We didn't eat that much rice. From Millie, I've read somewhere that you eat a lot of rice, so maybe you should do that as well. Never ever let the rice pot go empty. That's like absolute taboo. But for us was the salt. Never, ever, 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 ever. If you've got to spend your last penny, you go buy salt. There's a few rituals with salt, but yeah, and you never let the pot get empty. So, and it's also, it's like it builds up. So especially if you're going to start blessing your salt, which, to be quite honest, I mean, I've blessed salt for different things, but I never really thought of doing it as a big scale thing. You know, I've spoken to us, but like just from a practical point of view, if that to get back into blessing our food and blessing everything is that you just bless the whole bunch of groceries as a, you know, very sacred, but just a beautiful blessing. So everything's blessed, and you just say thank you. But we're talking now about actually taking our salt. So you take all the salt that you have, and then you really bless that. You really pray on it. And then you use it for whatever. You use it in the cooking, you use it in the bathing, you use it for so many things that you use salt for. Salt is everywhere. And in industry too, you know, there's industrial salt. Anyway, salt in Europe. So we've just touched teeny, weeny, weeny little bit of salt in America. I'm sure in almost, but yeah, so let's go into this because this is interesting. So a lot of this, maybe you know, and maybe you don't, and it's just, you know, moving it all together. And let's just get there's the salt in medieval Europe. Because there's not much salt here. You know, we've been talking about the Himalayas and the Americas and Africa, where there's just an absolute abundance of salt. I think because of the sunshine, I'm not sure. Or you can at least you have salt pans and you have the sea. We have the weirdest sea here. It's like really not the sea. There are no waves. Oh, it's weird sea. The North Sea. It's still, I think, outside, out in the sea, but there's no waves on the beach. And the tide just goes out really far, and then you're left with black slime, black mud, and like really slimy shells. No pretty shells. It's like, this is the sea. And it's just this expanse of still grey, no waves. It's very weird. Anyway, I'm used to real sea with waves, and sunshine, frothy stuff. We get the birds here, and yeah, pretty sea sand and walks. No, very different here. Okay. Salt was so rare and valuable in medieval Europe that it was often called white gold. And people even wore personal salt boxes. They were always locked, obviously, at the waist, both as a status symbol and to protect their supply. Europe did have salt, but it was very scarce, geographically uneven, and very expensive to produce or transport until much later. Why was it so precious? It was really precious. A large part of Europe, but then there's something else, which is just the bloody Frenchies always. A large part of Europe lacked easy access to sea salt or rich inland deposits. Salt could only be harvested where there were salt mines, example in Hellstaff in Austria, in Wilczycka in Poland, and in the Swiss Alps. So that doesn't leave you much, That's your salt. Salt springs and briny rivers, example in Lüneburg in Germany and Lorraine in France. Coastal salt pans in southern Europe, Mediterranean, Atlantic coast, and inland regions depended on trade from these salt-rich areas, making it very, very costly. It was difficult and costly to produce. Before modern technology, evaporating seawater or mineral rock salt was labor-intensive and slow, and it depended on the sunshine. And we don't get very much sunshine here. Yeah. There was one year that I was here, and I think it was only 48 hours or something of real sunlight that we'd had the whole year. It's horrendous. That's why it's yeah. Salt pans needed warm, dry climate, and this wasn't always available in Northern Europe. Mining required deep shafts, wooden supports, and constant draining, and it was very dangerous and expensive. And I suppose they'd rather mined coal. There was also very high demand because they used salt was essential, not just to taste, but for preserving food. Remember, they didn't have fridges, so they would salt their fish and salt their meat and cheese and butter before refrigeration. They had no refrigeration. Tanning leather uses huge amounts of salt. Pickling vegetables, good old sauerkraut, and anything else, to preserve it, and medicinal uses. I'm not sure what they used salt for, but that would obviously have taken priority. So the demand far exceeded local supply in many regions. And then there were trade monopolies and taxes. The salt trade routes were heavily controlled. This is like, it sickens me to my stomach, actually. In France, the infamous gabelle, the salt tax, made salt even more costly. And certain cities like Venice grew rich as salt trade hubs. So it was also used hugely in dyeing clothes and in the fabric industry. So I want to just read to you this gabelle thing. It's like bloody Frenchies. They all over there, and they still like this. There's a lot of problems in Africa where they've taken their minerals and a lot of their foodstuffs, and they make them pay in French francs. So it's like totally ridiculous. Who else pays in French francs? We have the euro now, but they still want their French francs. And so but we won't go into that now. But yeah, the French cabal, bloody Frenchies, was one of the most infamous taxes in European history. Don't worry, they had air. But they had air. But there's a lot of French in them too. They have air tax in Switzerland. So if you have a sign, they have it here too as well. Not so seriously, but if you have a sign outside your place, you have to pay air tax. And I think maybe you all know about the daylight robberies, so that they had window tax. Yeah, so you had to pay tax on that. That was in England. Anything that the bloody government can make money from, the crown or whatever. This is changing. So, a quick overview what it was: a government tax on salt in France, introduced in, listen to these dates, introduced in the 14th century, so that's 1300 and something medieval times, and lasting in various forms until 1945. It's just like yesterday. Why salt? Because everybody wants salt. Everybody's going to use it. So let's tax it. At the time, salt was essential for preserving food, especially meat and fish, making it as vital as electricity is today. Taxing it guaranteed steady revenue. And how it worked: people in different regions paid wildly different rates, and in some places they were even forced by law to buy a set amount of salt every year at a high price from the royal monopoly. It was very unfair because obviously the poorest suffered the most, and smugglers, you had the faux souvenirs, became folk heroes. Whole black market networks sprung up to evade it, all over bloody salt. It was a whole symbol of tyranny. The gabelle became a symbol of inequality and corruption, feeding public anger that boiled over into the French Revolution in 1789. It's, yeah, really, it's like a bit of a crazy twist, huh? Shows how salt has been recognized as precious, powerful, and even dangerous to control. It wasn't just seasoning, it was life itself. Whoever controlled salt controlled survival. I want to dig into the Venice thing, why they were so, because that was also thriving, because that was a huge merchant city, and they had the leathers and the fabrics. No? Okay, Swiss Alps salt. So that's also, there wasn't that much salt. Switzerland does have salt from brine springs deep under the Alps, remnants of ancient seas. The Beck salt mines worked since the Middle Ages. Salt was valued for purity, but was local and very small scale. Most of Europe still relied on imports from bigger salt regions. So that's why the belt box, the chatelaine, the lady of the house would um, have all these keys and things. It was a chatelaine. So she had a salt box, she had scissors, maybe she had glasses, screwdrivers, whatever, but they were all around her waist. But the salt was like, it was tied to her. It wasn't like free. You can't just go and get salt out the salt box in the pantry. And it was usually just a little box. Maybe you've seen or heard of them from museums. And it was just a little metal box with a key. Like, seriously, salt. And it was nobility and wealthy merchants often carried a small locked salt box on a chain or belt, before the pocket watch. Its salt at the table was a status marker. Sitting above the salt, was the saying, near the hosts, salt meant high rank. The keys symbolized control over a rare and valuable resource, much like a safe key today is. That's how valuable salt was. That's it. I mean, that with their weight in salt comes from the Roman stuff, so it's even before that. So that was also the salt mines and the salt things, the great salt families. We didn't go into this beautiful In Poland, I wouldn't download the picture. I don't know. I couldn't save it, but I will try and find it. It's absolutely breathtaking. That salt mine is huge, huge, huge. And there's even cathedrals which are actually carved. There's a whole church that's carved into. It's ridiculous, eh? But they tax the air now, big time, huge. It's the Swiss make so much money, and apparently it's really. I mean, I think it must be awful. I was like blessed. I'm always so grateful that I saw a lot of Europe when I was 9 and when I was 14, before the tourists arrived, and the Swiss before they went crazy. Now it's just like advertising all the way up. From the sunglasses to the skis to the cars to the this, and they pay. But yeah, they pay. And here, Germany too, because I've said to people, why don't you put a sign up on the street? Oh no, they can't because then they've got to pay for it. Or they're not allowed to. That's Germany too. But yeah, air tax is for a long time in Switzerland. But it is what it is, hey? And the body needs salt. Without salt, and salts were all used for healing. And salt is amazing to mix stuff with. So make your own salts or make potpourri was amazing. I used to love that. And then we had biltong in South Africa and I really missed it. It's dried meat with salt. It's jerky, but it's not like jerky. It's very different. Jerky is very thin. So I started making my own, and that's all salt. It's wonderful, so nice. But meat is also beef is very expensive here. So I would just get like the thin pieces of steak, and then you layer it with salt and I think bicarb, yeah. And then you hang it in the oven and let it dry, and then you cure it with coriander seeds. Oh, and pepper. It was so nice. And then at least I knew what I was putting into it. It was wonderful. Because it's also, that you're not even allowed to import it here because it's like a raw meat thing. It's much thicker. They use huge pieces of meat to dry. My parents sent my Oma some biltong, which is like a highly prized delicacy in South Africa. And they make it from all sorts of animals. You have all of the game animals, and then ostrich biltong for long before ostrich meat became like the buzzword. But they used a lot of like the impala, the game that makes really nice biltong. But they sent my Oma biltong, and she must have known what it was. But she rehydrated it. She soaked it in water. And then she minced it up and she made hamburgers. And she told my father they were the most delicious hamburgers she'd ever had because of the spices. But, that's how they would preserve food because, they didn't have. Hello, beautiful play. Just to give you a hearts up, Josh is going live. Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. Oh, thanks, love. Okay, because then we can just finish some of this tomorrow as well because it's like huge. And it will be nice if you can think about this and then we'll go into the more deep, the magic of salt. So thanks for that. Yeah, lost skills. Very so just like yeah, which we should be. And like sauerkraut is really interesting. Sauerkraut is not made with anything. It's just like they hollow out a cabbage and they stuff it full of salt and they let it ferment. They put it in a pot and close it, and then it starts to ferment. It's weird, hey? Salt does crazy things. Salt does crazy things. So maybe we'll just continue the salt thing tomorrow because it'll give you time to rub salt into the wounds of what we've been dealing with over the last many years. Okay, so let's just go into these different salts, which I want to just share with us. So you can choose your salt. Who thought? Honestly, I never thought about this. This has really been huge for me as well. To a little point of it, but I think I've thought about it more than the average person. But And then we had this beautiful salt that we had, which was Herba Mare, which was from Switzerland, which was like blended with a lot of herbs, and it was like really healthy food, so delicious. Okay, so the great salt families, how nature makes its crystals. We have rock salt, where it comes from, in ancient seas that dried up millions of years ago, leaving massive underground deposits. It's mined like gemstones, chipped from underground caves and tunnels. So exciting. The Kura salt mines in Pakistan, the Wilczyksa salt mines in Poland, and the Swiss Alps. That's where they have these crystal whole caves. It's like a whole like cathedral. It's beautiful. I'll try and find a better picture and put it on. My memory's gone here. Pink salt. It's the energy field is deep grounding, and it holds the memory of primordial oceans. And a fun fact is that some medieval salt was literally chipped from mountain caves that had been sealed since the Ice Age. Isn't that exciting? I think that's so pretty. Sea salt comes from modern oceans and seas, evaporating seawater in shallow ponds, and the sun and the wind do most of the work. I had a Portuguese lady, they lived in Madeira, and she said the only thing that they bought was it honey or salt? I think honey. The sugar. It was the only thing they bought, because they lived their fish, they did their own salt, they slaughtered their pig, they lived with vegetables, so the only thing they ever bought was sugar. Interesting. Famous sources: Celtic sea salt from France, the Maldon, UK, the Bolivian Salar salt, and the energy alive, connected to moon cycles. The mineral mix depends on the exact bay or coastline, making each harvest like a fingerprint of that sea. Then we have the salt pans, flat, often inland. That's like the Kalahari salt, basing that flood basically or historically held seawater. Its flood water evaporates, leaving a crisp layer of salt. It's also the Salt Lake City of salt pans. Layer of salt crystals harvested with wooden rakes. You have the salt pans in Botswana and those in Australia and parts of Namibia. It's vast, still holding echoes of vanished waters. Some African pans are so reflective that they look like mirrors from the air. They're almost otherworldly. Then you have salt mines. I think they also had in Russia, if I remember, that was part of your punishment, somewhere in the back of my memory. It's like they'll send you to the salt mines. They were from like rock salt, but often much deeper and drier. It's collected, it's mined with machines, explosives, or even hand tools in older days. There's the Wilczyksa salt mine in Poland, with an underground chapel carved entirely from salt. It's very cave-like, womb-like, and protective feeling. Salt mine chambers are sometimes used for halotherapy, which is breathing in the salty air for respiratory healing. Then we have solar salt. This is awesome. It comes from any sunny, arid area where seawater can be trapped and evaporated quickly. It uses only the sun's heat for evaporation, so there's no boiling or machinery. It's light-filled and a very high vibration and sun-infused. Solar salt is often coarser and chunkier than other salts, and it's almost like crystal sugar. Then you have the very rare and regional treasures, which you have the black lava salt from Hawaii infused with activated charcoal. You have the red Alia salt, also from Hawaii, mixed with volcanic clay. The Persian blue salt from Iran's ancient salt lakes, naturally blue from mineral shifts. Himalayan pink salts from Pakistan's Kuan mines, and the iron oxide and the Bolivian Rhodes salt obviously also must have a lot of iron from the Andes. How are you guys doing on time? Because I think it's so interesting. Do you want me to post these on Discord? Yeah, sauerkraut's very good for you. Dale, my darling, I'm sending you an email. I'm so grateful to you. So let me just talk. Why I threw this in because there was a woman. What was she called? Now I've had it earlier and I can't remember the name of her business. My parents made cream jars for cosmetic cream jars. They were engravers. Stop it, Ricky. You're just being a pain. No. You can't have nothing. Nothing. Ooh. So yeah, they made cosmetic cream jars and printed them. So like for Revlon and then Yardley's and the bigger companies, but also lots of the small ones and a lot of the African companies. And I can see it, but I can't think. I can't. It had this mask of this black mask, and she was like very into. Are you all going? Okay, it's time. Okay, we'll start. Okay, perfect. I will. Do you want me to screenshot some of these things and put them on? I think it's important. This is salt. You're doing this every day. Off you go, my beautifuls. Thank you so much. We'll start off then with the Himalayan salt, with the Red Sea salt tomorrow, and then obviously we'll move into some other stuff. So namaste, love, 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 love. Maybe I'll pop into Josh. Oh, my dog wants to go and walk. And just take it. And what's it saying? Take it with a pinch of salt. And I've got a whole lot of sayings on where they come from and what they mean. But we will. This is a 2-day expedition. Never mind a half a day. I love you lots, everybody. Thank you for being here, and we will see you tomorrow. And I will put some of this stuff up so you can make some definite decisions. So yes, you'll never see salt the same again. Sea salt. Bless you all, loves. Have a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. Much love. Mwah. Stay in.